welcome to the behind the scenes look at Fried Up, the Epic. So yeah, I'm just going to be going through some things in the session here, talking a little bit about kind of how this song was written and recorded, and soloing a couple parts, and just kind of diving in deep on some details about this song. So just to give you a quick little backstory, this song was written probably sometime back in like 2011, 2012, I want to say, and it was most of it was recorded, back around like 2013, like summer 2013 or spring. That's when most of the stuff was recorded, 2012, 2013. On drums for this one is Ronnie Coleman, and then I'm doing all the guitars, obviously, and the little bit of keys, which is organ, and then the bass as well. So this song was kind of written as I kind of started out with that, that main riff, the one that opens the song. And I to tell you the truth, I don't remember the exact moment I came up with that, but I'm sure I was just kind of messing around, it's just kind of a open string thing in G, kind of a G Dorian thing, and just kind of had that riff, and I was like, well, would it be cool if I kind of combined country with some more like fusion stuff? So the working title on this song for a long time was just Country Fusion, and then I just decided to go with Fried Up the Epic once I added that whole section at the end, which is kind of like another song. But yeah, the main thing is just combining kind of country stuff with fusion stuff. So that's why there's some kind of chicken picking playing, and then some other stuff where it's more like, throwing in a couple more changes. Nothing crazy, but still, more than just like what you would do on a standard country tune. And then the end is just totally just a country thing with the train beat and everything. But that's where it kind of goes to it's almost like a different song. So so just kind of going through some of this. Some of these tracks, the guitar tracks actually, and the bass track, like the bass track and the rhythm guitar tracks are like the original scratch tracks. And this is what happens a lot on songs that I do. I'll do a scratch track not thinking I'm gonna redo it, and then I kind of just either don't feel like I can play it really much better than I did in the original, and it's like, well, that's good enough, or you just can't capture like the vibe or the sound you had, when you recorded the scratch track. So and maybe I'll go in and edit if there's like a few parts that are, wonky or something. But otherwise, mostly use it. So, and I did re-record like the lead parts on this. So, but yeah, so let's just kind of start now. And the drum fill is just kind of a, crazy thing. Just not that crazy, but I don't know. I just thought it was kind of a cool intro. But so there's a couple guitars like in this intro part here. So this one's just kind of like a more clean than you've got this one. Same thing. And then later on, there's another rhythm track that'll come in, which is more kind of overdriven. So I'll kind of go through those. So I'll slow those up. So you start out with the left one, and it's really just doubling what the lead does. Oh. And then right there I bring in the bass, which is kind of just playing, it's kind of doubling the guitar part actually. I know, how original. Turn off the mic for a second. And then also got some organ that comes in too. much. Just kind of holding the chords, you know. So yeah, so that's that whole section. Yeah, I kind of like the bass. It's, you know, kind of funky for a country thing. So for this verse section, I kind of like how the just the rhythmic, they're all kind of hitting on different subdivisions. Like if you listen to the between the bass and the rhythm part, there's a flub note in there. And then I like that. I just kind of like that bass part. That I probably should have highlighted that more in the mix. You can hear it in there. So yeah, and I guess I didn't play the drums. Just I'll solo these up. Kind of what's going on here. Turn on the drum group. Mute the mic. So what's going on here is I've got, you know, closed mics. We recorded this in my old house in the living room, and at that house I've got a real nice setup now in my current house, but at that house I really didn't have a great setup to do a room mic. So I actually, what I do on a lot of songs when I don't have a room mic is you just duplicate the overhead track, and then you put it, you know, you put on a reverb plugin, but put the mix at like 100%. And then it's just kind of like living in that space, kind of like a room mic. So if I solo up the overhead by itself, here's the room mic. And then just a second room mic that's like just a little more squashed and kind of cruddy sounding. But yeah, it just, like if you play the drums without the room mics, I'll turn them on and off. So just, you know, room mics are always just like such a great glue. It always sounds kind of sterile without a room mic. And then, you know, just I'm doing the standard thing, you know, mixing the natural snare and kick with a sample. Actually, the kick I'm pretty heavily leaning on the sample. There's the natural kick, so it's in there. And then snares. That's one of the samples, one of the other ones. So, and same thing on the toms. I won't go through those individually, but yeah. So that's kind of the drum sound explained. Okay, so going on to the. So one thing I kind of was like a signature thing in this was in that verse part, these little bow bow. I've got like everything, every, you know, part is hitting that in some octave or whatever. So just kind of just a funky little doesn't like me because I'm screen recording at the same time. And then kind of something I'm doing here is just the little playing the chords and then the melody in between. It's just. Oh, and here's another. There's a second lead track. That's like pretty distorted. It's just really low in the mix. My lord. You got the clean one. And then the... And then the octave lower on that too. And then what I did on this chorus, it's kind of like it's a doubled lead line between. This is something I ended up doing a lot on this album. Was like I would have a clean guitar and a distorted guitar, or just overdriven guitar playing the melody, either in harmony or in unison. Kind of like I used on some of the other songs, like I used like the clean guitar as like, you know, you think of like a lot of jazz records, like where there'd be like a clean guitar and then a sax player doubling on top of that. Well, I used the distorted guitar more like a sax in that sense. So. So that first section, they're just distorted and clean playing together. And then they split in harmony. And then kind of the way the form worked out, it goes right to this first solo here. So I just really wanted to break it down, kind of do, this is still kind of like a G Dorian, real kind of funky thing. There's not much going on, just one rhythm part. And just if you haven't figured out by now, all this hiss you're hearing is from my talkback mic. So if I turn that off, it goes away. But that's the only way I can talk over this, unfortunately. So hopefully that doesn't bother you too much. I'll try and mute the mic if there's a section you really want to listen to. But. So kind of just mixing, you know, like still funky, but trying to mix in some chicken picking sort of stuff, you know, on the solo. And just keep it sparse because I'm trying to build this. So then it goes up a whole step just to kind of an A7 thing here. And this is definitely trying to be more country. Like the organ comes in at this part. Solo by itself. And then it just goes back to the G Dorian thing. There's kind of that funky rhythm part. So coming out of that. So doing my best Victor impression there, trying at least. Poor man's Victor. Very poor man's Victor. Goes up to the A7. Now this part was cool because this was this like swing thing was something that Ronnie added. I didn't have this in the scratch track, and actually too at the end of this section, if you listen to the bass part, you'll hear it kind of gets I'll show you. How does that do 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 do? I had like a thing with the drums kind of doubling that, where it sounded like it kind of gets off. But he ended up not doing that. I mean, like a lot of stuff, you're trying to record this like quick, and you don't always have time to flesh out those ideas and stuff, or it just didn't work out. And that's part of what you got to live with. When like that part didn't happen, but when it sounded cool though was when he played just kind of regular over it. You still have the other parts trying to do that kind of offbeat thing, and it kind of worked out, So all together it ended up sounding cool. And then I didn't have that swing thing that he did in the second half of the bass solo, which was really cool. So that's sometimes you don't get the part doesn't come out exactly how you want in scratch tracks, but then other times stuff gets added. So that's just part of the process. You got to just roll with that, because sometimes cool stuff happens. This next section is just kind of it's not that never these changes right here never happen again. It's just kind of a little section of changes. I was just thinking real kind of Greg Howe here. I actually played this solo on the telly, but it's real, and I think all the guitars in this are all Telecaster if I remember right. But I remember playing this. I did play this lead on the Telecaster, so even though it's kind of more fusiony, but yeah, it's just goes through, just adds a couple little nice changes that are kind of unexpected for this solo here. And also, I've gone all this time not really talking about the gear that we use, but all the clean parts are like just a Tele through a Boss CS3 through Fender Super Reverb. The dirty parts are just, I believe, I don't think I used an overdrive pedal. I think I just used like channel 2 of my Mark V. Definitely this distorted lead part is the Mark V on the lead channel. But yeah, here I'll just solo up this with the. So you can hear some of the. And this kind of just big crescendo back to the original part. Everyone's doubling this little guitar like I came up with here. Octave lower. Same thing. And then the bass. So, yeah, that's that. Oh yeah, I forgot I had these little organ stabs right. So nothing's really different in this section from the first one. So I'll skip ahead a little. When it goes to the chorus, it does it. First time around, it's normal. And then the second time, there's some extra harmonies. Yeah. So you can see here the actual tempo changes. It's just a metric modulation, I guess.